In the heart of the warp, something impossible happened. The screaming storms went silent. The tides of madness became still, and every navigator in the Imperium opened their eyes in fear, because for the first time in 10,000 years, the warp stopped moving. Low, dramatic music begins. Astropaths tried to send messages. Nothing. Fleets tried to travel. They vanished into darkness. The Astronomicon, the holy light of Terra, faded like a dying star. The galaxy stood still, and the Imperium finally understood. Something was terribly wrong with the Emperor.
Millions prêt.
Billions waited, but no answer came. The Emperor was silent, and that silence was the loudest sound in the universe. Worlds panicked. Systems fell into chaos. Hope began to die, because without the warp, there is no travel. Without the Astronomicon, there is no guidance. Without the Emperor, there is no Imperium. And yet, this was only the beginning. Narrator low, mysterious, because the truth behind this will change everything. Let me show you exactly how this happened. At first, the Imperium tried to ignore it. Maybe the warp would return. Maybe the light would reignite. Maybe the Emperor was only resting. But soon, denial turned into fear. Communication failed. Fleets disappeared. Entire sectors went dark. And then, something even worse happened. The Golden Throne began to fail. For 10,000 years, this machine kept the Emperor alive. Now, its systems were shutting down. The Adeptus Mechanicus tore open sacred seals. They broke ancient laws to keep him alive. But nothing worked. The Emperor's body was decaying. Narrator whisper. And for the first time in history, his soul felt distant. The High Lords panicked. They tried to hide the truth, but it was too late. Across the Imperium, rumors spread like wildfire. The Emperor is dying. The Emperor is gone. The Emperor is already dead. Faith began to crack. Order started to collapse. Rebellion ignited like dry tinder. Because the Imperium was built on one belief: the Emperor will always guide us. But now, he was silent, and the galaxy asked the question. No one dared speak for 10,000 years. What happens when God dies? The answer was coming, and it would tear reality apart. At the edges of the Imperium, the truth arrived first. Without the Astronomicon, ships were lost in the void. Trade collapsed. Reinforcements never came. Worlds that once felt protected were now alone. 1. The faithful begin to fracture. The ecclesiarchy tried to maintain order. They declared, "The Emperor is merely testing us. Stand strong in faith." But others whispered darker things. "The Emperor has abandoned us. A new god must rise." Religions split. Holy worlds burned. 2. Civil wars ignite. Some leaders claimed the Emperor still lived. Others declared independence. Loyalists versus secessionists. Faith versus fear. Brother versus brother. The Imperium began to devour itself. 3. Alien empires strike. And the galaxy was watching. To the Tyranids, humanity became prey. To the Orcs, the perfect endless war. To the Drukhari, a galaxy of new victims. The Imperium was the largest carcass in the void, and every Xenos empire came to feed. 4. Chaos begins to stir, differently, but the strangest reaction came from chaos. Demons grew restless. Gods whispered in confusion. For 10,000 years they had warred against one being, the Emperor. Now, he was gone, and even the ruinous powers did not know what came next. 5. The galaxy holds its breath. No unity, no light, just a silent throne and a dying empire. This was not the end. This was the beginning of something far worse, because when a god disappears, something else always comes to take its place. From the throne, his eyes scanned the galaxy. Every rebellion, every heresy, every whisper of treachery burned in his mind. Yet he moved with purpose. Not for vengeance alone, but for clarity, for order, for the survival of mankind. Governors and high lords fled or bowed, realizing their feeble schemes were nothing before his power. The Adeptus Mechanicus scrambled to stabilize the Golden Throne, even as its master walked among the psychic currents, unshackled at last. And then, a new vision passed through the minds of the faithful. A map of the galaxy, whole again, restored. But the cost would be immense, for power of this magnitude could not pass without leaving scars. The Emperor's first strike was not chaos alone. Worlds that had fallen to corruption, planets enslaved by tyrants, cities ruled by false gods. He moved against them all. Cities burned, but always selectively. A test, a warning, promise. His fury struck fear even into the hearts of the loyal. They understood. This was not a plaything of power. This was judgment. This was the embodiment of 10,000 years of patience, fury, and will. The sky over Terra glowed with psychic fire. The seas boiled. The mountains cracked. All who witnessed it knew nothing would ever be the same. In the Imperium, the demon gods reeled. Their influence on the galaxy faltered. Loyal psychers sensed new pathways of power. Chaos warlords cowered. Mortals, sensing the change, paused their endless wars, if only to understand the impossible force that had awoken. Every strike, every motion, every thought of the Emperor was a lesson. Mankind must rise or fall. The Imperium itself was being remade by will alone. By the end of the first strike, Terra was scarred. Yet, paradoxically, it stood more alive than ever. The Emperor returned not just as a force of war, but as a reminder of purpose. His first strike burned the galaxy, but also ignited it. Loyal hearts burned with renewed faith. The heretic quivered. The traitor hid. Humanity had witnessed power beyond reckoning, and now knew that their survival was not assured. The Emperor had acted. The Imperium had felt his wrath. The galaxy had burned, and in the ashes, a new order began to rise. And then, as swiftly as it began, the Emperor withdrew. Not gone, but seated once more upon his throne, surveying, calculating, eternal. The galaxy was alive, trembling, changed. The Imperium now understood that the Emperor was not a distant god. They had felt his hand, his judgment, his protection. In the hearts of the faithful, a single truth remained. The day Terra burned was not the end. It was the beginning. Humanity had survived his wrath. Humanity had been tested. And for the first time, they truly understood what it meant to be his children. The Emperor's first strike was complete. The galaxy would never forget.